Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sharp Side Saturdays. We got a new type of episode today. So wanted to do a solo edition, give people a chance to ask some questions in the chat. But first, as always, going to give out my favorite MMA bet of the day. Obviously, the whole point of this show is to be concise, to give out valuable information, to help people be able to be winning sports better. So at the current odds, my favorite bet of the day is Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Vanessa Demopoulos. And the reasons I like this bet, Kowalkiewicz is a much better striker. She's fought an elite level of competition. I think Demopoulos is going to need to have grappling success here to compete, and I'm not projecting much. She was 2 for 4 on takedowns versus Oliveira, so only attempted 4 takedowns against someone whose weakness is their takedown defense. She went 1 for 7 on takedowns versus Jinyu Frey and 0 for 5 on takedowns versus Aldrich. Carolina's losses, for the most part, have been against absolute best of the best. Yan Xiaonan, who's going to be challenging for a belt soon, likely. Alexa Grasso, current 125-pound champion. You go back, Jessica Andrade, former champ. Joanna, former champ. And Vanessa just simply isn't on that level. She's durable. I expect her to hang in there, but I don't think she's going to compete in the stand-up with Carolina. I think Carolina is going to land much more. I think she's going to land more effectively. Carolina has a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. I think she'll be controlling the stand-up, landing the more meaningful shots. I do think that Demopoulos, like I said, will hang in tough because she's a tough fighter, but she's not as skilled as Carolina. And yeah, I think this price is very cheap. I would make it more like minus 185. So plenty of value left on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. If you guys have any questions in the chat, fire away, whether it be about the fights tonight or about betting in general. Just wanted to do a solo episode to give people a chance to kind of ask questions or give comments, anything like that. I get a few comments a week, but I'm gonna try to answer some more today. If you guys are interested, if not, I'll bounce quickly. But hopefully, you guys have something to chime in with. Hello, Jake. How's it going? Let me know. Any questions? Could be about a fight tonight. Could be about any totals that stand out. Good question. I like the over 1.5 in the Hernandez fight. The reason I like the over 1.5, I feel like it's very, very correlated with Anthony Hernandez. And Hernandez is minus 200 on most books, and the over 1.5 is like minus 145, minus 150. I think Hernandez is going to drown Shabazian late. I do think that Edmond has a shot to land an early knockout, but if he doesn't, it's going to be all Hernandez late. I think this is one of the biggest cardio discrepancies possible in the division because Edmond, known gasser, later in fights, Hernandez weaponizes pace. He's going to get in. He's going to get in Shabazian's face. So I like the over 1.5 there. I also like the under 2.5 in CDF versus Michael Johnson. I just think that both these guys are going to have opportunities to finish. Both old, both wilt, CDF, huge jiu-jitsu advantage. Michael Johnson, faster hands. CDF has been put out in his last couple losses. I think if he doesn't get a submission, there's a good chance he gets knocked out. Also, wouldn't shock me if CDF gets a knockout on the feet. So those are my two favorite totals of the day. Godinez versus Godinez versus Ducat. It was spelled funny, so I was a little confused. But yeah, everything about this fight told me to bet Godinez initially, but I ended up passing. And the reason why, so I'll start why I initially wanted to bet Godinez. From a market perspective, Godinez was minus 330 against Angela Hill, and Ducat was minus 130 against Angela Hill. Ducat had Godinez had a way closer fight with Angela Hill. The distance stats were very close, whereas Hill kind of blew Godinez out of the water. I'm screwing up. Hill blew Ducat out of the water, had a competitive fight with Godinez. The thing about Godinez I don't like is her fight IQ. She wrestles when she shouldn't wrestle. She doesn't wrestle when she shouldn't wrestle. She wrestles when she shouldn't wrestle. Like, it's just mind-boggling for some of these fights where she doesn't shoot, where she does shoot. And here, I think she'd be smart to wrestle against Ducat. I don't think Ducat's takedown defense is anything special. I think the striking is close. And here's the other thing. I think the reason why Angela Hill had so much success against Ducat is because of her pressure, and I don't think Godinez is that kind of fighter. I actually think Godinez probably gives Ducat the fight she wants today, which is a distance fight at range, and so that's why I'm passing here. But she does have more ways to win, and I have to favor her. I like Borshev money line here. I do lean towards a finish, but Mahashate seems pretty durable, and the price isn't good enough on KO to take it. I bet Buckley early price -170. I give him a ton of advantages against Fialho. I still think there's some value on it now, actually. The reasons I like Buckley: better striking stats. If anyone's going to mix in takedowns, it's him. Fought a better level of competition, better cardio. He was fighting bigger guys up at 185. I do think both guys could potentially land big, but I think Buckley has a better chance of landing big. And yeah, due to those advantages, I favor him pretty significantly. Do you bet round props like Hernandez round 3? It has to be something really, really good because books put such a hold on round props where 9 times out of 10, if not more, there's no value on it because they're putting a crazy vig in there where it's really tough to get value. But yeah, I mean Hernandez round 3, pretty obvious one, but plus 800, you put it into a calculator, it's probably like 10 or 11% implied, and you have to really think how many times does Hernandez actually finish in round 3. So I typically don't bet round props. Am I crazy for liking the Hooper Fior fight going the distance? Can see that fight stalling and neither guy finishing on the feet. No, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, Chase definitely is a liability striking. Both these guys are experienced in BJJ, so I think them subbing the other, each one subbing the other, might be a little bit less probable than books are implying right now. So I don't hate it, but I do think Chase is a huge liability on the feet. We haven't seen a ton from Fior in terms of facing reasonable competition. So just that one's just going to be an all around pass for me. I just need to grab water. Under 2.5 in the Fialho fight. What's that priced at? I think that would be a good bet. Let me just check my screen real quick. -220, -188, -220. Yeah, I mean, I do think that one goes under 2.5, probably more than what's implied with the odds. Yep, very reasonable. Loopy's 0-3 in all her short notice fights. Um, it, it's it's a small sample size, but we'd be stupid to ignore it altogether. Feel like she never tries to finish. Yeah. Ducata's better stand-up game, BJJ black belt, and decent defensive wrestling, runner-up in the state. Yeah, her defensive wrestling is decent. I don't think it's on the caliber of Loopy. Um, I don't know that she's a better stand-up game. I think if Godinez pressures, that's really what could give her the advantages on the feet. And just the threat of potentially mixing in a takedown could make Ducat hesitant on the feet also. But like I mentioned earlier, if she does give her that distance fight at range, it's probably going to favor Ducat. What do you think about the health problems of Kosei? He was struggling at weigh-ins. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I didn't see the weigh-ins yesterday, but I know he's missed weight in the past, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I think that fight's hard to call in general because Rubina having the layoff, Kosei potentially having some problems with the weight. So I'm personally going to be sitting back and watching this one. Is Garimbo UFC level? Yeah, I think he's probably that lower mid UFC tier guys who can grapple a little bit, potentially hang around. I thought about betting him here when he was the dog, excuse me, but ended up passing. I think Sato's takedown defense and defensive grappling are pretty bad altogether, but Greenbow does seem like a bit of a liability on the feet, so that's why I pass. Yep, Ducat, you're exactly right. Ducat had problems moving on her back foot against Hill style, and if I were coaching Loopy, I would tell her to put that pressure on, but like I mentioned, she has shown suspect fight IQ in the past, so it's not something I wanted to rely on with her as a favorite. Kosei looked like he was having a panic attack on the scales. Yeah, I mean, cutting weight's hard. I've done it a bunch for wrestling, and it can be frustrating when you put everything into your weight cut. You get that close and you miss weight. You got to be super calculated about it, and maybe Kosei was, maybe he wasn't, but yeah, and ended up not working out. I don't know. Did he get a second chance to weigh in? Let me Google it really quick. I was super busy yesterday. Yeah, I think he missed weight yesterday, and so did Vanessa Demopoulos, but both those fights are still on. Let me know anything else. Happy to answer any questions about betting in general. Any sport, could be any sport, could be MMA, could be today's card, could be anything. Just want to do we'll go for another 5 minutes or so. I got a decent amount of action today, so looking forward to the card. Hate that there's a week off next week, but the following card, June 3rd, looks really good for betting on paper, so looking forward to that one for sure. If there's no more questions for like another minute, we'll hang it up. But if you guys got more questions, like I said, it could be anything. Happy to go another 5 minutes or so. Anything stand out for DFS? I haven't played DFS lately. Let me see. I'll take a look at the line. I'll take a look at the prices really quick and see if anything sticks out. Um, yeah, I stopped playing a couple months ago. I was just using money for other stuff to buy a house and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, just looking at this right now, Natalia Silva actually priced 9,700. She's minus 1,000 favorite. Should score pretty high, but Anthony Hernandez again, another one priced super high, who could mix in takedowns. And yeah, it's just a matter of like, what do you want from this top range? You have Hernandez at 9,400, Buckley at 9,300. I personally would probably rather go with Hernandez because even though Buckley is a bigger favorite on the money line by a little bit, I do think that Hernandez wrestling upside could end up scoring really high. Dern 9,100. I don't know if I'd mess with that. I'd probably try to stay away from Dern in the main event because she's so submission reliant, and if she doesn't get it, she's not going to score high. Nascimento, 9,000, I'd probably stay away from. I actually prefer Borshev at 8,800. CDF, 8,700, I'd probably have a little bit of because if he wins, it's probably going to be a submission. Gdynia is 8,600, doesn't have a lot of finishing upside, but does have a higher floor. So I'd probably have her in a couple lineups. I like Carolina at 8,500 compared to the market from a money line perspective. So I would have some money line. Kosei 8,400. I'd have a lot of Kosei and a lot of Kosei and a lot of why is this opponent's name skip Urbina. A lot of Kosei, a lot of Urbina. I think that fight finishes at a high rate. Um, Garimbo, I'd have a good amount of him with the grappling upside. Sato, a little bit for the KO upside. Hooper Fiore, I think the winner could score high, so I'd probably target that fight as well. Demopolis, I'm lower on to the market, so I'd probably stay away from that. Michael Johnson, 7,500, I think good underdog spot. Mahashate, 7,400. Not a lot of grappling outside, and he's the lesser striker, so I'd stay away from that. Latifi, 7,200, I would take a ton of. I'm way higher on that than the market. Angela Hill, 7,100. I'd have some of that. If she doesn't get submitted, she's probably going to score decently high. Fialho, 6,900. I bet Buckley, but I do think that Fialho's win condition is probably a knockout, so I wouldn't mind some 6,900. Shabazian, you're getting KO winner bust, and Leonardo, you're probably drawing dead. So that's my DraftKings thoughts. Um, Let me know anything else. Do you have a job outside betting? I do not. I am a full-time professional bettor. Demopoulos at plus 500 by submission. Yeah, I don't think that's a good bet. I just feel like, I mean, plus 500, if you think about it, it's like 17% implied. And if this fight played out 100 times, like, I just don't really think Demopoulos is going to submit Carolina more than 17 times out of 100. I actually think it's probably more like 10. So yeah, I personally would pass that one. UFC Lambo parlay. I'll get a little crazy. I didn't bet one this week. Probably go with Hernandez round 3. What else? Hernandez round 3. Carolina KO plus 1,000. That's right there. It's 2 plus 1,000. It's pretty good. Then I'd go Latifi inside the distance at plus 350 plus 400. That'd be my Lambo parlay for the day. I'll take one more question if you guys have any. If not, I'll hang it up here. Yeah, this was good. I'm gonna try to do a solo episode more often. I like getting the chat involved. Like, obviously, appreciate you guys being here, like interacting with you. So, we'll definitely have to do an episode like this again soon. Do you have any Okay, wait. I got two more. On Prize Pick Silva over half a takedown. Yeah, I would imagine so. Um, Even just like I think Leonardo is going to chase takedowns, and I feel like Silva will just end on top at least once. So yeah, I like that. Have any recommendations, books, videos, etc. How to learn sports betting? I made a beginner series on my YouTube channel. Sorry about that. Some book's threatening to log me off. I made a brief series. I want to say it was 3 episodes on my YouTube channel, like a couple winters ago. I think it was December 2021, where I just talked about the basics of betting and MMA betting. There was a book I read. Let me just Google it to make sure I have the name right. It's The Logic of Sports Betting by Matthew David Howe. I thought was a good book. To learn at sports betting, but there's tons of content out there. I would check out that series. I would read that book. Sorry for that noise again. Yeah, thanks, bro. Everyone on Michael Johnson, how do you see that one playing out? I like the under. It's a hard one to call because of the layoff for CDF. Both these guys are older. Weird matchup stylistically. So rather than a side, I like the under, but I do know some sharp people on both sides of the fight. I don't have a side. Where do I find that series that you publish? It's on this channel, so I'll go there right now. It's click my page, go to videos, scroll down, and then there's MMA betting 101, MMA betting 102, and MMA betting 103. And I think, like I said, those look like they were published in December of 2021. Yeah, and maybe I'll make some more in the future. Maybe some 200 level courses now that I've had people following along for years now. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Please like the video. We'll be back next Saturday. Actually, yeah, I'll try to do an episode next Saturday. Do you respect Magic as a handicapper? Yeah, of course I do. No, he's not down units. Let me pull up his page really quick. He's up 534 units actually over a pretty big sample size. So yeah, of course I respect him as a bettor. I wouldn't do a show with someone I don't respect as a bettor. But thanks guys for tuning in, like and subscribe, and we'll be back every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys. Bye bye.